Well, as the country records nearly 2,000 new COVID-19 cases, the OCTA Research Team urges officials to consider reimposing stricter rules in emerging hotspots. They identified Bawan, Batangas, Calbayog in Western Samar, and General Trias, Cavite due to rising daily numbers. While the government appreciates the group's efforts, the palace has one request to the OCTA team: keep their recommendations private or endorse it directly to the IATF. Let's hear the views now from OCTA Research Team fellow Guido David. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor, on the program. Well, will you heed the call of Malacanang to keep your pandemic response and recommendations private and endorse it directly to the IATF?
Well, as you know, Rico, we've been doing these these reports since April, and we have been actually sending our reports directly to Malacanang. And I'm not sure. I mean, in the past we've been doing that, and in fact we did that this time. So I'm not sure if there was some.
So, what is your interpretation of this statement by Malacanang? Are they here to silence you?
I would hope not, because we've been doing this as public service for the government and also for the public. And as I'm not sure if people are aware, but we're not actually commissioned for this. We're not being paid by the government, and we're not being paid by anyone. So this is a free public service that we have been doing so far.
Because,
as far as
Professor,
the national reports.
Your assumptions and estimates over the past few months have really been spot on. It was just maybe during the early period of this pandemic when we heard presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said, we've beaten the UP research assumption and the estimate. But since then, you've been spot on.
Yes, well, thank you, Rico. I mean, we have been using science, and that's the good thing about science. It's evidence-based. It's based on data. I mean, as long as we're getting good data, we can usually do something with it as far as modeling is concerned. But yeah, we will definitely, we will still have some reports. I will still have to talk to the team about making recommendations. But as far as the ranking of the LGUs, as long as there's no recommendation, I don't think there's any problem. We can still, furnish it to the public.
And these emerging hotspots, Professor David, are you recommending granular lockdowns or citywide lockdowns?
Actually, this is the direction that the government has been looking to take ever since we moved from MECQ. So that is what we have been hearing. Now we're going to go into more granular lockdown. So instead of provincial lockdown, instead of locking down, for example, the whole of Batangas, then we can just lock down an LGU, a city or municipality that's having an increase in cases.
What is your assessment of the Metro Manila situation, Professor?
Actually, our report on Metro Manila is included in the list. We have tabulated the top LGUs according to risk level, but all the LGUs are experiencing a decrease in cases, and we even call the flattening of the curve early September.
But could this increase again, Professor, if we see reduced distancing in public transport?
That is actually a possibility. We're not saying it's going to happen. We haven't seen the effect of this reducing these distancing. We have in the past issued our recommendation was not to reduce the distancing in public, because I haven't read their science reports that were presented to the IATF. I personally haven't seen that. So we have, yes.
But Professor, I'm still quite puzzled that over the past couple of months, it has been mandatory for everyone to wear a face mask and a face shield. Why are the number of infections still in the thousands?
Actually, it's still in the thousands, but it's actually decreasing. And I mean, because it actually is working. I mean, it's shown that the face shields and face masks and proper hygiene have actually worked. Before, we were getting close to 3,000 cases per day in NCR. Now we're getting less than 1,000. So it's actually working. The decrease is slow. It's not going to go away overnight. So it will take time, just like what happened in Cebu. It took some time, about 2 months to 3 months, of decrease, and now they're getting 50 cases per day. They're now considered low risk in our assessment. I mean, they could probably even, go to the loosest quarantine available. So yeah, so it's working, and there has been a decrease, and NCR is continuing to see the decrease, but the decrease rate is not so fast.
Right.
It's not very fast. So we're still getting 900 cases, but we hope it will continue until the end of October and the end of November, so that we'll have a more open Christmas.
Professor Guido David, OCTA Research Fellow, thank you so much for joining us.